contact parce que là, il n'y a pas... La Première ministre va arriver dans 5 minutes.
C'est dans le sens parce que la fin, c'est ceux qui
Okay. Good afternoon to everybody. I hope everybody could take his seat. If you haven't done it yet, please switch off your mobile phone or put them on a silent mode. I am Pierre Lignot. I'm the head of the Business France office in Athens, and I will be your MC, Master of Ceremony, this afternoon. So it's a great pleasure for me to welcome you all here in Belgrade to this France Balkans Business Forum 2018. So we will start right away with the inauguration ceremony, and we will have 4 guest speakers. The first one is Frédéric Rossi. He is the Deputy CEO of Business France, the French government agency for trade and investment promotion. And now I have to put on my glasses to read his short biography. Frédéric Rossi has started his career as a civil volunteer at the Trade Commission of the French Embassy in Israel. Then he joined the French Ministry of Finance, the Treasury Department, and he served successfully at the French Embassy's trade commissions in Manila, Sydney, and Mumbai. I have the floor for your welcoming address.
Thank you very much, Pierre. I wasn't sure that it was necessary to tell all that to the people here, but thank you very much anyway. Your Excellency, Mrs. Ana Brnabić, Prime Minister of the Republic of Serbia, dear Mr. Alain Richard, sorry for that, Mr. Alain Richard, Special Envoy from the French Minister of Foreign Affairs to develop economic relations with the Balkans, Your Excellency, Mr. Frédéric Mondoloni, Ambassador of France to Serbia, Mr. Emmanuel Montagnier, I don't know if he's here, yeah, he's just arrived, Managing Director of the French Trade Advisors Network in Paris, dear representatives from the business community in the Balkan countries and in France, dear friends. It is a great pleasure for me to be with you today and to open this France Balkan Business Forum 2018. Let me first convey to you the apologies of Mr. Christophe Lecourtier, who is the Managing Director of Business France, who had to stay in Paris for important meetings. He would have loved to be with us today and to attend this event, mainly for 2 reasons. First, because we created with all our partners this event in order to set up a new milestone for the French economic relationship with Serbia and the Balkan area. Second, on a more personal point of view, because he has very much enjoyed his stay in Belgrade as a former French ambassador, even though this stay was rather short, only 3 weeks, and as he was later on appointed to head Business France and to lead also the very important reform for the French trade and investment promotion policies that we are implementing today. Indeed, as you might have noticed during the past few months, France is changing France is moving forward very fast nowadays. France is transforming its economy. France is opening itself to the world. And France reaffirms strongly its project of free trade, sustainable growth, and innovation-based economy. The idea of this event comes back to July 2016 during the Paris Summit on the Western Balkans, when Business France organized at the French Ministry of Finance a multilateral business forum, which was very successful between France and all the countries represented. This followed also previous forums that were organized in Sofia and in Bucharest. So it was obvious for us to organize the next event here in Belgrade. Let me now talk to you about the Balkanic asset as we see it from France. First, you have growth. The Balkans were deeply hit by the economic crisis a decade ago, but all the economies have recovered since, with yearly growth rate that are around 3% for most of the countries, which are, by Western European standards, quite impressive. Financing. All international finance institutions are here. They are active in the region, financing large-scale infrastructure projects. We'll talk about it later on, and also smaller ones in the private sector, creating also new opportunities, both for local and foreign companies. And third, the labor force. Quality and affordability of the workforce, especially engineers, is available at a time when the labor market is very tense in other parts of Europe. I was in Warsaw on last Monday, and this is they have a very they face a situation in the labor market that is quite tense. We have the same in France, even though the unemployment rate is quite high. So I think it's a good time to take advantage of what's happening here and the quality of the engineers here. French companies have shown a renewed interest for the Balkans in the past few years, and today the large French delegation, we have almost 60 French companies represented here from all sizes, from all fields of activities, gives, I think, a very good signal. All major French companies, the so-called CAC 40 companies, have invested and created jobs in the Balkans lately, in most sectors like agri-food industry, automotive infrastructure, environment, and I know, dear Prime Minister, that this is a sector where you have a strong commitment, healthcare, just to mention the major ones. This boosts the bilateral trade between France and the Balkans, and the other good news is that recently this bilateral trade has been taking off quite steadily, with around 10% annual growth in our bilateral trade with most of the countries in this part of the world. So this is a great positive sign. But we should do more, because we are still lagging behind some of our Western European neighbors, especially Germany, Italy, when we compare the economic ties with the Balkan countries, except maybe Romania. Let's just take the figures of our trade with Serbia. It's only a quarter of the trade that is being done with those two countries. So how now can we do, what can we do to achieve this common goal of doing more together, more business together? I think there are three things. First, we need to make the Balkan countries and their opportunities known in France and known to the French companies. That's what we are doing by organizing this forum, and also trade missions, country seminars in Paris. We did a few over the last few years on the different countries. We need also to change the image of the Balkans in France and of France in the Balkans. France is a tech-savvy and competitive economy now. The Balkans have a strong economic growth and a much better business environment, as the classification on ease of doing business of the World Bank shows, a lot of improvements in the different countries in the region. And the third point, finally, we need to promote Balkan countries as a region, as a whole, towards French SMEs. The whole region with different attractive economies, which complement each other, with human-sized markets to deal with, and where it's quite easy to mitigate also the risk for the French smaller companies using a kind of portfolio approach. So I sincerely hope this forum will help us to achieve this joint ambition and to fulfill those three objectives. And we have today almost 400 registered participants that will come during the next 2 days to this forum. Among them, 50% are coming from Serbia, opportunities to build contacts together. It was quite a huge task to perform for our offices and all our partners. So I wish to finish this short introduction by thanking all of them, especially Mr. Marc Martinan from our office Business France in Paris, Nebojsat Jasimovic, who is a French-Serbian trainee in our office in Paris, who was very helpful in this organization, and also Pierre Lignot, whom you met a while ago, with his team from our regional office based in Paris.
Quite comprehensive welcoming address. I will now introduce to you our second speaker, Mr. Alain Richard. Alain Richard has several degrees, postgraduate degrees in public law and literature. He was a student at Sciences Po Paris, the famous school for political studies. He joined the ENA. The French National School for Administration, and graduated in 1971.
To appreciate how many people are here and how we feel a dynamism in the Assembly. So we have good reasons to be here. Two good reasons, I would say. The first one is that this region is booming, is growing, is modernizing, is opening new areas of development and investment. And of course, I will have a special quotation for Serbia, because your numbers are impressive. And the curve of the economic evolution of the country is spectacular, and which is more important in my job, which is to make it known and understood from France. It's getting better known now. And I would suggest that you still have some public relations to do, because you have many things you can be flattered of, and you have to show them. But this country and this region are using their economic assets, and I would like especially to identify one of these assets, which is people, which is human resources, and with the high quality manpower, very flexible people, and good skills, and to develop initiative to develop business. So, of course, we still have quite a lot of work to do to intensify our relationship with countries with whom we have so many human and historic relationships. And of course, this year, as you know, President Macron will receive all the heads of state and government of the region to commemorate together the changes in Europe 100 years ago, a century ago, with the construction of the new democracies in Europe at the time. And of course, this idea of an anniversary is organized toward the future and not the past, because we have so many initiatives to
Richard. So now I will introduce our third speaker, Mr. Emmanuel Montagnier. He's the General Manager of the National Committee of Foreign Trade Advisors of France, and began his career in the National Committee. He joined also in 2006 the MEDEF, the French Entrepreneurs Association, where he was the Deputy Director of International Affairs. In this capacity, Emmanuel Montagnier has played a major role in defending the interests of French companies and in promoting their international development. So, Mr. Montagnier, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. I realize that I'm the last obstacle before the Prime Minister of Serbia, who we are all of us impatiently waiting for, so I will be very brief. First of all, dobar dan, dame I Bogošta. Good afternoon, Madam Prime Minister, Your Excellency, Mr. Richard, and ladies and gentlemen, dear friends of the France-Balkan relationships. I'm very happy and honored to be with you today to introduce this business forum in the name of Mr. Alain Bentejac, the President of CCE, and obviously on the name of all the CCEs implemented in the Balkan region. And to be frank, attendance is being obvious because promotion of trade and development of France by business relationships have been our DNA of CCE, and this for more than 100 years. Because the Conseiller du Commerce Extérieur of the France was created in 1880 pleasure
to welcome the Prime Minister of the Republic of Serbia to open officially this France-Balkan Business Forum, Mrs. Ana Brnabic. So Ana Brnabic has obtained a master's degree in marketing from the Hull University in the UK and has more than 10 years of experience in working with international organizations, foreign investors, local self-governments and the public sector in Serbia. In August 2016, she was elected Minister of Public Administration and Local Self-Government, and she performed that function until her election as Prime Minister of Serbia. She is President of the Serbian Government's Council for Innovative Entrepreneurship and Information Technologies. She is President of the Serbian Council for National Minorities and is Vice President of the Serbian Council for Public Administration Reform. Mrs. Prime Minister, it's a great honor for me to give you the floor now.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, dear partners, it is my pleasure to welcome you to Belgrade and Serbia on behalf of the government of Serbia. It is a great privilege and honor to open the France-Balkans Business Forum 2018. Having over 400 participants from Serbia, France and the rest of Balkans at this year's forum, I'm happy to state that all the business roads in the Balkans today lead to Belgrade. This forum represents an exceptional opportunity for unlocking potential of the deeper cooperation between the companies from our region and France. Economic relations between Serbia and France are strengthening day by day. And this positive trend is also reflected in the trust and cooperation between our two countries. Last year, trade value of goods between Serbia and France reached almost 1 billion euros, which is 12% higher than in 2016. Moreover, in the same period, Serbia's exports to France increased by a significant 17%. This undoubtedly shows that there is a high potential for stronger economic cooperation between our two countries. And this is one of the reasons why we're here today. I'm pleased that French businesses have already recognized Serbia's investment potential. French companies were amongst the first companies to invest in Serbia after the changes in 2000. And in the past 7 years only, French companies have invested over 800 million euros in our country, employing about 11,000 people across Serbia, primarily in manufacturing sector. Many French companies also carry local economic development, from Pirot in the southeast to Ruma in the northwest of Serbia. I would also like to emphasize the role of French business, in particular Schneider Electric DMS Research and Development Center, in supporting our education, digitalization, and innovation agenda. Schneider Electric's 1,000-strong team in Novi Sad reflects our vision of Serbia as a knowledge-based and innovation-driven economy. Building on the trend of successful cooperation, as Mr. Richard said, the city of Belgrade agreed with French-Japanese consortium Suez Itochu to build a waste treatment plant through public-private partnership. This is 333 million euros project, and it will significantly contribute to the ecological profile of our capital city and the quality of life of the citizens of Belgrade. I would also like to emphasize that earlier this year, the government of Serbia signed a concession agreement for the international airport Nikola Tesla with French company Vinci Airports, worth over 500 million euros, with additional 732 million euros in envisaged investments over the next 25 years. This is the single most valuable concession agreement in Serbia's history. I'm confident that these two agreements, both public-private partnerships, will set the momentum for a new wave of French investments in Serbia and the whole of the Balkans region. Moving forward, we are trying to provide absolutely the best business environment in this part of Europe and offer the best conditions to attract potential investments. Today, Serbia has stable and predictable fiscal policy with budget surplus. We are working on reforming our education system to prepare our graduates for the jobs of the future and transforming and digitizing public administration to create an efficient, transparent service for citizens and businesses alike. Furthermore, we are actively working on strengthening the rule of law. This remains one of the top priorities of the government that I lead. Our considerable reform efforts in this area will ensure predictability, accountability, and a level playing field for all investors. Over the last 4 years, Serbia has moved about 50 places on the World Bank's Doing Business list. Last year, Serbia was ranked #1 by the Financial Times on Greenfield Foreign Direct Investment Performance Index. This, in practice, translated into 2.6 billion euros of foreign direct investments in 2017, which is the highest ever if we consider that no major privatizations occurred. We continued this trend in 2018, attracting over 600 million euros of foreign direct investment only in the first quarter of this year. This is almost 5% better result than in 2017, which was historically the best year for Serbia. To increase our competitiveness and to continue attracting investments, the region has to work together. We have to synergize our efforts to attract capital and achieve shared prosperity for all of our citizens. This is why the government of Serbia places high importance on regional cooperation and stability. Our particular focus is on regional connectivity and creation of regional economic area. By harmonizing our regulations and removing non-tariff barriers, our region can position itself as a promising investment destination. I can promise you today that Serbia will tirelessly continue its reform path, and we will work together with our neighbors and the Republic of France on moving the region closer to the European Union and creating an attractive investment environment for all. I hope that in the next 2 days you will discover new business opportunities, open doors to new markets, and create lasting business relationships which will result in new investments. I would also like to invite you to stay a credible and reliable partner in the government of Serbia, and that my door will always be open for you. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best for this forum. Dobrodošli u Srbiji. Thank you.